Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Hustle and Hardwood podcast. Today, we have a very special guest, Mark Boyle, the radio sports announcer for the Indiana Pacers. So we're just going to start with a couple of questions. Mark, you've called more than 3,000 games. Which one would you say stood out the most to you?
Well, this is sort of a selfish response. When people ask me that, they expect me to say some playoff game or something of note. For me, it was my very first NBA game because that was my accomplishment. The rest of the time, I'm just talking about what other people are doing. And I'm having a blast, and it's a great time, and I love it. But for me, the one that resonates most is the very first one I did. It was a Pacers-Bucks game, the first game of the 88-89 season. And we went from there. So my first game is my most memorable. But if you're looking for a more standard answer, probably Game 7 of the finals last season. Because even though
that was entertaining.
It was so close, and the franchise, was looking for its first ever championship. The outcome was not what was desired, but it was still pretty cool to be in Game 7.
Right. It was definitely an amazing series to watch. Joe, DJ, you can go to the next one if you like.
I'll go ahead. How has your broadcasting skills developed over time to be where you are today?
Well, it's the same, I think, as anything else. Once you start to do something, you have a lot of room for improvement. And if you're paying attention and understanding that you have a lot of room for improvement, then you can make those adjustments. A lot of people, when they do things, don't acknowledge that they're not good at it at the beginning, and so they don't make improvements. For me, it was a process. I've been doing games since I was 19. Now, those were high school games and so on, not NBA games. And I found that, at least for me, you make your biggest improvements at the beginning. It's the same as anything else. It's repetitions. If you pick up a basketball for the first time and try to shoot a jump shot, it's going to look a lot different than it does after you've taken 2,000 shots. Because you refine your skills, you get better, you become more comfortable, it becomes more natural. You're not overthinking all the time. So it's a process, and the key to the whole thing is repetitions. As many games as you can do, you should do, because that's how you improve, and especially at the start of your career.
Definitely. Joe, you can go to the next one.
What story about the Pacers has never been fully told?
Well, I can't tell it because it's not for public information. There's a lot of stories, and most of them are harmless and amusing. So it's hard to pick out one. When you've been around as long as I have, and you've dealt with as many players and coaches and situations and games and all of that, it's hard to pick out one. But I'll just tell you this. Oftentimes, as we go around the league and we go to an arena to play in Cleveland or Dallas or wherever, and we get with our peers, I'll see the Dallas radio guy or the Cleveland radio guy, and we start telling stories about our teams and the people we know. And then inevitably, one of us will say, that story will be in the book, which we will never write, because most of these stories would embarrass people, and it's not appropriate to share them with the public. But I do appreciate you asking.
We would also like to know, you were in St. Louis and New York for some time, correct?
Uh-huh.
What did you learn from both of those places that helped you get to where you are right now?
Well, when I was in those jobs, I was still quite young. I'd been in broadcasting for several years by then because I started when I was 19. But I was still in my 20s when I got to New York.
Oh, okay.
And so I was working with older people mostly who were much more experienced than me. And I learned just from watching the way they went about their business. In New York, I worked with guys like Greg Gumbel, who had a great career at NBC, passed away not too long ago. Just really accomplished broadcasters. St. Louis, the same. I worked in St. Louis with Jack Buck, who is the father of Joe Buck, and Jack is one of the greatest baseball announcers of all time. So you watch these people, you watch about how they go about their business, you pay attention. It's not even the wisdom they share with you, although that's certainly valuable. It's just watching how people that know what they're doing go about their work. And the other thing I learned early in my career is that you can learn a lot from people that don't know what they're doing. Watch them. Okay, I'm not doing that. Whereas you might see a guy that knows what he's doing. Okay, that's interesting. I'll pick up on that. So it's but every step along the way, I started at a very small radio station out in Montana, and I learned stuff there too because it was my first job, and I was the youngest guy there, and I was learning from people that had been around. It's all about paying attention, listening, asking questions, and then keeping in mind that in our business, it's very subjective. There are certain basics. If you're a play-by-play broadcaster, time, score, and all of that. But other than that, there's no right or wrong way to do things. I compare broadcasting to being a musician or an actor. You might like singer A or group A. I might not. Doesn't mean your group is better than mine. It's just a matter of taste. So you have to take the information you get and fit it in with your own style and the way you're trying to do things. And it's a long process. And as you get older, you become more aware of things that you didn't know when you were younger. But no matter how long you stay around, I will have been in broadcasting. Let's see, May of 2028. So that's a little less than 2 years from now. That'll be 50 years in broadcasting for me. And I should still be learning every single day, even if it's something small. I'm a big believer in this. You don't stay the same. You get better or you get worse. So you need to pay attention and try to learn something every day. Learn from your own mistakes, learn from other people. It's the process, and you need to be self-aware to learn.
I really like that. Yeah, DJ.
What about the Pacers' culture is special and unique compared to like other NBA teams?
Well, I wouldn't say it's special and unique because to say that would indicate that the Pacers are the only ones doing it. The good organizations are all doing some version of this. They try to bring in good people. They try to bring in good leadership. They have standards that they do not veer from ever. So if they bring you in here, whether you're a player, a coach, a front office person, a broadcaster, the same standards exist in our entire franchise. And that's one of the reasons that we have great continuity. We have wonderful owners. They've owned the Pacers for over 40 years. They're the longest running owners in the history of the NBA. And they're great people, and they hire good people to do their jobs, and then they leave them alone. And then those people, in turn, hire good people under them. I'll give you an example. This is an area that we're unique in. I came in '88, so this will be my 39th season. We have had 3 guys that whole time run the basketball operation, just 3. Not 3 every 5 years like some teams. We had Donnie Walsh, who ran it for years. Larry Bird ran it for a while, and now Kevin Pritchard runs it. I've had 3 bosses in 30. Continuity is an indicator that it's a good place to work because people, this is one of the smallest markets in the league, and we have good people here. Many of us could have gone on to New York or Chicago or Los Angeles, but we decided to stay here because of the culture and the way things are done here. It's a really well-run operation, and you don't really begin to appreciate that until you've been around for a while and you go around the league and you talk to other people. I talk to guys that have my job at other places, and some of the stories I hear from them are just, what? That's how you do it there? Now, we make mistakes. I'm not saying we don't. We do. Everyone does. But we have standards, and we try to adhere to them. We hire good people, and we let them do their jobs. And it's a really great place to work. But it all starts at the top. If you have bad ownership, chances are you have a poorly run franchise. If you have good ownership like we do, then chances are it's a great place to work. So it's not unique. And this is why I laugh when I hear about things like, I don't know if you guys are familiar with this phrase. If you follow the NBA, you might be. Have you ever heard the phrase heat culture? Okay. It's not true. It is true. But they act like they invented it. No, you did not invent it. There's Pacers culture. There's Spurs culture. You think the Spurs won 5 championships running things in a shipshod manner? No. All the successful businesses in the world have culture. So I laugh when I hear heat culture because they act like they invented it. All the good franchises have a culture. Now, it might be slightly different in their place than it is in ours, or San Antonio, or some of the other well run franchises, but we all have it, and you can't win without it.
Absolutely. And Joe, before you ask the next one, you did mention about how the Pacers have had only like 3 people that have ran it. What did you like about each of them individually?
Well, for me personally, the thing I liked about all 3 of them is they leave us alone. They don't micromanage, don't tell us how to do it. When I took this job, Donnie Walsh was running it, and he ran it for years. And then he ran the Knicks for a little while. Then he came back when he retired. And so this was the first time I ever worked for a team. And so when they offered me the job, I said, hey, I'm in. But I'm a little bit concerned because taking a paycheck from a team that I'm supposed to be covering is a conflict of interest. So here's how I look at it. You're paying for my talent, you're paying for my time, you're paying for my effort. You don't get my credibility. That's mine. I'm not giving that up. And so I can't broadcast for a team that expects me to blame the officials for everything. I can't broadcast for a team that doesn't allow me to be appropriately critical of our players when it's necessary. And he said to me, I don't care what you say, as long as you're fair and it doesn't get personal. So, for example, if we had a player that was struggling over a 5 game stretch, let's say he was shooting 30% from the floor, just really couldn't quite get it together for this stretch of games. That's worth pointing out. Some teams don't want you to even say that about their guys, but there are ways to do it. Let's take that same example. I might say, Joe Blow is really struggling. He's hit just 30% of his shots over the last 5 games. That's using fact to point out something negative. You don't say, Joe Blow couldn't put it in the ocean. I don't even know why they play him. That's personal and it's unprofessional. And our franchise leaves us alone as long as we do it in a professional, non-personal manner. And that's important to me. And so that's one of the reasons that I've stayed here. And those guys value us. We're a small market franchise, and so we could cut corners and pay less than the big market franchises do, but they treat us very well. They run it like it's a big market franchise. Now they do look at dollars more than the Lakers might or the Knicks might because they don't have the money and the resources, but they still treat us well and they respect us professionally and they leave us alone to do our jobs, and that's to me valuable.
Joe, yeah, you're good.
Obviously, you've seen a lot of games, you've seen a lot of players, you've been there for 39 years. So, what does greatness look like before anyone else recognizes it?
Well, I will say this. Of all of the really good players that I've seen, there are different styles. Obviously, Reggie Miller plays the game differently than, to use a name from back in the day, Rick Smits might. Rick Smits was 7'4" and he played down near the basket. Reggie was out there shooting 3. So their games are different. But the common denominator is this. Greatness comes with talent. You can't be great without it, obviously. However, it's preparation, it's work, it's determination, it's perseverance. You don't give up when you have setbacks. You work harder than everybody else. I'll use Reggie again as an example. Reggie was always the first guy there, always the last guy to leave, always working on his game, always. Even after he'd achieved a level of greatness that some people might have just been satisfied with. I'll go back to what I said to you guys earlier. He was always trying to get better right up until the last day of his career. He was pleased with what he'd accomplished, but he wasn't satisfied that he couldn't do better. And so they're always trying to get an advantage. They're always trying to outwork you. I remember Larry Bird said one time when they asked him why did he work so hard in the summer, and he said, because I know Magic's out there in Los Angeles working his ass off, and I don't want him to outwork me because he's a guy I have to beat.
Yeah.
Greatness, without talent, you can't be great. But without the other stuff, even with the talent, you can't be great either. So the common denominator of the great player or the great performer in any endeavor is work ethic, determination, perseverance, drive. All of those things separate guys. There are a lot of really talented players who don't have great careers because they're lacking some of those things. But if you look at Jordan or James or go way back in time, it doesn't matter who you're talking about. We talk about the current players. Jordan, not current, but still, you all know who he is. James, Curry, guys like that. Go back further. You think Bill Russell and Wilt Chamberlain and Jerry West didn't have the same ethics and same determination? Of course they did. That transcends time. And those are very important things that I have noticed in all of the great players that I've seen.
Our last question for you is going to be a more personal one. Who has helped you the most in your journey to becoming an announcer?
Good question. I would say the guys that have helped me most are the guys that gave me opportunity. For example, there's a guy named Scott Meyer who gave me my first major market job. He hired me in Minneapolis, and then he got the job running a radio station in New York, which was the first all sports station in the country. See, you guys are so young, you don't remember a time when there weren't all sports stations. When I was coming up, there weren't any. And they started one in New York, and the guy that hired me in Minneapolis went there and he brought me with him. So he gave me two great opportunities in Minneapolis and New York. You cannot succeed without opportunity. And I was fortunate to have people that believed in me and took me along on the journey and helped me get to where I am now. Always grateful for those guys. You know, the Pacers didn't need to hire me either, but they did. They took a chance. I didn't have any NBA experience, but they took a chance. And without them, where would I be? Who knows? I like to think I would have done well, but maybe not. And so I'm most grateful to the people that have given me opportunity.
Thank you so much. Before we wrap things up, we're wondering if you'd be down to do some Pacers trivia.
Sure.
All right, DJ and Joe, you can ask one question each.
Joe, you want to go first?
Sure. How many ABA championships
Three.
did you said 3?
Yeah.
You know
You
the
guys
year?
think I don't know this stuff?
Do you know the years?
Oh, good one. 69, 70, no?
You
Yes.
got 70. You got 70.
70, 71? No. 70, 72, 75?
You got 72.
76? 74? 73?
Yeah.
70, 72, 78. See, you got me there. I knew 3, but I didn't remember the years. And I'm not making an excuse, but that's way before my time.
Yeah.
I wasn't here yet. I still should know it, though. Okay, what else you got?
Which arena other than home court did you call the most playoff games in the 1990s?
I don't know this because I haven't researched it, but I would guess Madison Square Garden.
That's correct.
Pacers played
That
the
is
Knicks.
correct.
Oh, you already know the answer. Okay. What's the number? Oh,
We don't have
The number? Yeah,
You don't know?
we weren't able to.
yeah, because it seemed like we were playing the Knicks every year in the 90s. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mark. We appreciate your time, and thank you so much.
Hey, anytime, guys. Good luck. I like
Thank you.
Thank you.
what you're doing.